Byzantine world. The earliest authoritative translation of Plato to be disseminated in Western Europe was the 3-volume Renaissance edition of the scholar Henri Estienne, in Latin Stephanus, published in Geneva in 1578. It juxtaposed pages of the Greek text of Plato with a Latin translation. From it derives the initially off-putting notation for referring to passages in Plato's works. The numbers, which are printed in the margins in all decent editions, are known as Stephanus numbers. They are page numbers from this edition, followed by letters from A to E, referring to sections of the page. The system makes it easy to locate passages without being confined to one or another modern edition or translation. In the present volume, I refer to passages in the Republic by prefacing the Stephanus number with a number of the book in question, from 1 to 10, since Republic is somewhat arbitrarily divided into 10 chapters, or books. Translations of Plato into English were slower to arrive. The first well-known translation from the Greek was that of Thomas Taylor and Floyer Sydenham, published in London in 1804. This was the edition that would have been known to Coleridge and the Romantics. Unfortunately, James Mill, John Stuart's father, said of Thomas Taylor that he has not translated Plato, he has travestied him in the most cruel and abominable manner. He has not elucidated, but covered him over with impenetrable darkness. The Victorian interest in Plato produced a translation by Davis and Vaughan in 1858, and the classic edition by Benjamin Jowett, still one of the most widely disseminated English versions of the dialogues, first published by Oxford University Press in 1871. However, classical scholars are hard to please in these matters, and the exacting scholar A. E. Housman is reported to have described Jowett's as the best translation of a Greek philosopher which has ever been executed by a person who understood neither philosophy nor Greek. Other scholars have not been daunted by the risk of such a reception, and Jowett was followed by Desmond Lee, Francis Cornford, Paul Shorey, I. A. Richards into basic English, A. D. Lindsay, Alan Bloom, and many others down to the present day. The World's Classics edition by Robin Waterfield that I have used is clear and straightforward, and has excellent notes. Introduction. The safest general characterization of the European philosophical tradition is that it consists of a series of footnotes to Plato. I do not mean the systematic scheme of thought which scholars have doubtfully extracted from his writings. I allude to the wealth of general ideas scattered through them. Alfred North Whitehead, Process and Reality, 1929. Before discussing how Republic shook the world, we might ask whether any book shakes the world. Certainly the world changes, and many of its important changes can be plotted using the rise and fall of those ideas by which people live. Ideas like freedom and democracy, or justice, citizenship, or knowledge. Religions shake the world, and in practice a religion is just a fossilized philosophy, a philosophy with the questioning spirit suppressed. Still, there are people who would say that even if changes in the world can be charted through ideas, such as those of Republic, Plato will not have been responsible for the changes themselves. The philosopher merely follows the parade. When philosophy paints its grey in grey, then has a shape of life grown old. The owl of Minerva spreads its wings only with the coming of the dusk. Ideas are only the whistle on the engine. What shakes the world are time and circumstance, land, food, guns, and money, the economic and social forces that determine the organization of peoples at different times and places. The author of ideas, on such a view, does not make history, but merely receives a larger part in its description. Fortunately, we need not investigate what truth there is in this, although it seems unlikely that ideas are as inert as all that, so that nobody is ever changed by reading either Republic or any other work of religion, morals, or politics, including those very works by Hegel, such as The Philosophy of History, 1826, and Marx, such as The German Ideology, 1846, in which the idea of futility of ideas has been suggested. Ideas work on minds. That, after all, is what they are for. We could not be adapted for thought if it was useless. An idea is just a staging post to action. And, although people who pride themselves on their hard-headed, scientific approach to human life often find it hard to understand, when we say that ideas and culture change things, we are not denying that food and land, guns